Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of It's Not All Rainbows. I'm your host, Lindsay Goodman. I'm a certified trauma recovery coach, and I'm also a survivor of abuse in a queer relationship. Today, I'm going to talk to you about how abusive people can use love or I love you as a weapon. It is not fun. It's not something that anybody should ever have to go through. I know some people will say it's just words, but words are very powerful. They can be very powerful and they absolutely can be used to do damage to you. Obviously, we know that emotional abuse, mental abuse is a very real thing. Before we dive in, I'll go ahead and talk about my struggles and successes. A struggle is that it's cold outside. It's almost April, and we had like a false spring a week ago, and it was so nice and it was so sunny. And we're back into like the rainy, cold PNW weather. As you can see, I'm wearing a sweater today. That's okay. A success is that I got the house cleaned, and also I picked up some extra work this weekend, which like I totally completely am losing my weekend. But if you listen to my last episode, I talked about how this company I've been working for has decided not to pay me. So I really needed that money, and like I don't always get like there isn't always weekend work available when I don't have my son. So I'm very grateful for that, even though I'm gonna run myself into the ground this weekend and then like go right into next week like nothing ever happened. But my house is clean. I got it at least to a level where I feel like we are reset, we're good. So that to me is a good way to go into the weekend and, start next week with a fairly clean house. Okay, so let's talk about I love you. I know I'm not the only one who has had an abusive person withdraw the use of the words I love you or use them as a weapon if you're trying to leave or something like that. I'm actually going to give a couple of examples of this. One example is you're trying to leave. You're trying to leave, and maybe they don't say I love you. They know that you want to hear I love you. You say it to them. You've been together for a while. Maybe they used to say it, they stopped, whatever it looks like. And the moment that you're saying, I can't do this anymore, I have to go, um, I'm leaving right now, I'm going to get my keys, whatever, you're on your way to the door, and they're like, I love you. I can't live without you. That's a weapon because they know you want to hear it. They know you want to feel loved. They know you don't want to feel so alone and crappy and horrible and unlovable like the way they've been making you feel. And so here they are now saying, I love you. Or in my case, they wouldn't say, I love you when I was trying to leave, but they would say, I love your son. I can't live without your son, which I've talked a fair amount about how kids can be used as pawns by abusive people. And, they can give that love and take it away just the same as they do with you. But that only saying I love you when it needs to be said for you to give in to something or give in to an apology or not leave them or whatever that looks like. It's manipulation. It's not real. It shouldn't be taken seriously, although I know it's very difficult because you're like, oh no, like you have empathy. So you're like, well, if I love someone, this is what I would feel and I wouldn't want them to leave. So I can understand why they're feeling this way. I'm going to hear them out, blah, blah, blah. Many, many times I stayed. Again, mine was more because it was like, I love your son. And then I would be looking at a picture of my son on the wall and feel guilty and I would stay. Another example is, again, withholding that I love you, which gets you to the point where they can use that as a way to rope you back in, is that for days or weeks or months at a time, they'll stop saying I love you. If they're mad at you, if you got into an argument, if you did something they didn't like, which again, like the rules are always changing, the goalposts are always moving, all of a sudden they're not saying I love you. So you're like, okay, I gotta go, love you, I love you. And they're like, and they're not saying it anymore, right? Because they're mad at you, they're punishing you, they're withdrawing their love from you, and they may also withdraw their affection and attention if they give you that at all. Anything good or, good, quote unquote, or anything like connection wise that you probably have been craving from them since they do give it as little crumbs here and there, they're pulling that back. So the I love you is being withdrawn to punish you. Um, in the beginning when I met my abuser, this is like still something to me that is so weird. I think I might have talked about this before, but we didn't say I love you. Like we were just getting together. Um, I had just left a relationship. Like I wasn't in any place to be like moving quickly. So like we didn't say I love you. We talked about other things and other types of feelings and things like that. It just wasn't something, and even like it got to a point where I was like, I don't feel like I want to say that. It's not something that I want to share. Like I'm just not there. Kind of grappling with feelings about my marriage where we did say I love you, but I didn't necessarily feel loved or, just was trying to figure out like what even is the point of this? Because like what, like what is marriage and all that stuff. So I just communicated that I didn't want to say that. And then one day, like during the most inappropriate time to be like, do you love me? It was like we were like being intimate. My abuser was like, something like, do you like me? Like literally while we were being intimate. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, you just like me? And I was like, what do you want me to say? And they're like, you only like me? And I was like, I don't know what you're asking me. Yes, I do like you. And they're like, you only like me though. Like they were prying and prying and prying to get me to say I love you. But like during, again, the most awkward moment, like I'm not going to have this conversation with you right now. Can we talk about this later? Can we talk about this before? Um, and they were, they were trying to get me to say it. And so I didn't say it in that moment. And then later I like reflected on it and I was like, well, maybe they wanted to say it to me and they felt weird. So they wanted to hear me say it first. Or they wanted me to initiate, or they're scared, or they don't know how to communicate very well, clearly. So I'll just model it. And I came back and I was like, did you want me to say I love you? Like, is that what you were asking me for? And they were like, yeah, do you? And I was like, yeah, I do. I don't know why I said that because I didn't. I feel like I've said it a few times in my life where I just kind of like felt pressured and awkward because someone was kind of like, someone said it to me first, or someone was like pressuring me like that. And like I hate that, and I wish that nobody ever had to feel that way. I mean, there are worse things to feel pressure about than saying I love you, but like it can come with issues. And so I was like, yeah, I do love you. And I didn't ask them if they love me back. I just like kind of stood there and I was like, okay, I guess that wasn't it. Um, and then right before I was like leaving, I came back and I was like, do you love me? Is that why you said that? Because I just couldn't wrap my mind. Like I'd never seen that kind of behavior before. And I couldn't wrap my mind around like why someone would behave in that way and like pry and ask and ask. I've just never, either people said it to me when they were ready or it just wasn't said. And so I was like, do you love me? Is that what you're trying to communicate? And all of a sudden, like literally right before I left for this like 3-day weekend interpreter conference that I was going to, they were like, what? I don't know. I don't know if I love you. I don't know. I don't, why would you ask me that? Like, what's going on here? And it was just this really weird push pull back and forth thing. And this was like maybe like 2-3 months in, maybe not even quite that long. And I just was like, okay, gotta go. And I was so weirded out because it was very clear that it was just like a really immature communication, just something just wasn't making sense. And so that's just another example. Um, I guess one more thing, it's not really I love you, is like well into the relationship, I started like really, I mean, I guess I always did, but I would question like to them, like where I stand in the relationship. Like, do you even care about me? Like, I'm not getting a sense that I'm important here. And it's not necessarily because I'm an insecure person. Like, I can tell when someone cares about me and wants to be with me. And I was like, something is so off here. And so I would ask and I would say things like, I don't really believe in people having like one person or necessarily like a romantic soulmate. Like, I believe there might be someone who's like a real soul connection with people or multiple people like that. But I'm not that, I am not that person who's going to be like, you just have the one, it's your soulmate. And if you lose them, you lost them, you're done. Like, I believe there's lots of people in this world that we can really, you know, but I would say things like, do you like am I important to you? Like, am I your person? Like, am I a person who you feel safe with, a person who you want to do life with, anything like that? And they just not answer, not answer, not answer. And then one day out of the blue, they wrote with a marker on a whiteboard, you are my person. And I remember taking a picture because I was like, wow, this is huge. They're communicating with me. I'll take a picture. Like, I would take pictures of the tiniest little scraps of things. And I don't remember exactly at the time what was going on, but I guarantee you that that happened at a time that I was withdrawing. Maybe I had gone and like hung out with some new friends. Like at that time, around that time, I was like meeting some of my followers. Like we would meet up in Seattle and hang out for the day. And so I was kind of starting to have like other people around me. And or maybe recently we had broken up, because if you know, you don't break up just one time when you're with an abusive person. It's like it happens every once in a while, and then it's, oh, I didn't mean it, blah blah blah. Something happened to where they were like, I gotta pull out one of these cards, I gotta do something so that she feels loved and she stays a little longer. So they wrote it on a like a CrossFit or like a little kid's like whiteboard, you are my person. And so again, you are my person, I love you, um, you're my soulmate. this is fate, anything like that that's like really deep and serious or like shouldn't be something that you just say to just anybody, at least in society's eyes. Again, I think that like you can love, I'm not talking about, I'm not even talking about polyamory here. Like I have friends that I love so deeply. I like love them more than I've loved most romantic partners, but like not in a romantic way. I'm just saying like, I'm not here to be like, again, whatever, you do you. But it's like it's just not stuff you throw around, right? And they're going to use it to control you. They're going to use it to push you away, to punish you. They're going to use it to pull you back in. They're going to listen to what you're asking for and not give it to you until there's a strategic moment in time that they say, "I love you," or "I love your child. You've been asking me like, where do I see myself in my role in your child's life or in our child's life if you have the child together, or what do you even care about, blah blah blah." All of a sudden they're going to start communicating with you. They're going to start telling you they love you. They're going to do this, they're going to do that. It's a weapon. It's abuse. It's emotional abuse. It's mental abuse. It's messing with your head. It's leaving you confused. You don't know where you stand. It's not good. Um, so if you're experiencing this, just be aware that it's not normal for someone to do that. I can't pinpoint any other relationship in my life, healthy or slightly less healthy, where someone was, by slightly less healthy, I mean just like we just weren't doing great together, but it wasn't an abusive situation where someone, they love me the whole time. And in both cases, like we ended things, but like we needed time to work through that at the end. Like it wasn't like I stopped loving you. It was like if you love someone, typically, like yes, you can fall out of love, and sometimes it's like a slow, like, and you're like, oh my gosh, like I literally don't. But nobody was like, I don't love you today. I love you. I don't love you today. I think I care about you. Oh, you're my person. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what love is. Blah 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 blah. There was none of that shenanigans. So it's definitely something to look out for. Again, this is a small thing. This is something that a lot of people wouldn't recognize as abuse. Um, but it's a roller coaster ride you do not want to be on. So that's all I'm going to say about that today. This is a shorter episode, but I feel like I got my point across. And sometimes shorter is sweeter. So we're going to leave it at that. Before we wrap this up, I want to remind you that I am a certified trauma recovery coach. I said it at the beginning, but just in case you were thinking that maybe you might want to look into this a little bit more, you want someone to talk to, you want to process things, that is what I do. I said this last week, I for a while wasn't coaching because I was really focusing on my actual career, which is I'm a sign language interpreter. But I had a coaching session last week and it went so well, and it reminded me how much I care about helping people and helping you see again what's really going on in your relationship, helping you work your way out, helping you work on healing, getting you to where you want to be in life, not where you feel stuck. So I'm here. You can go to calendly.com/Lindsay Goodman if you want to check out a time to work with me on that. You can work with me once. You can work with me a million times. I don't care. This is your journey. I'm here for you. So reach out, know where to find me. Other than that, that's all for now. Please go do something nice for yourself. Go drink some water. I'll be back next week with more.